Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Wanted to drop a quick little video today about throwing it out there. My favorite team, Notre Dame, whether or not they can make a final push for the NCAA Tournament. First ACC Tournament game is tomorrow afternoon against Pittsburgh. They had a disappointing loss this past weekend against #1 Virginia, which I will dive into later because I thought that game said a lot about both teams. But yes, first of all, just kind of wanted to go over tomorrow's matchup against Pittsburgh. Notre Dame is 18-13 overall, 10th in the ACC. They're playing Pitt, who is 8-23 overall. I believe last place in the ACC. So fingers crossed Notre Dame will win tomorrow. We do have Bonzie Colson back from his 8-week injury. Matt Farrell is back. So to my knowledge, team is full strength. I'm just looking down at my computer here. That's why I keep looking down. But anyways, so yeah, I am hoping and predicting that Notre Dame will win the first ACC tournament game tomorrow. One thing I do want to point out, Bonzie Colson being out for 8 weeks. During that stretch, Notre Dame went on a 7 or 8 game losing streak. Obviously hurt the record there. Don't quote me on this, but when Bonzie's back and when Bonzie's playing for us, for Notre Dame, they're 12-4, I believe, on the year. Bonzie's averaging, almost 21 points and almost 11 rebounds per game, so a solid double-double. Having that on the bench for 7 or 8 weeks obviously is a big hurt, not only to Notre Dame, but to anyone's offensive numbers who would have to deal with an injury like that. We've only had 3 players play all 31 games this year. Those 3 being TJ Gibbs, Martinus Gebben, and John Mooney. So our offensive and defensive power has been very limited. One thing that I am concerned about regarding both the ACC tournament and potentially the NCAA tournament is Notre Dame's depth. There's 7, maybe 8 players that I'm somewhat confident in. Starting 5, obviously, I have my full confidence in. Going back to the Virginia game that happened this past weekend, 2 things that I think were pointed out and made obvious in that game was that with Bonzie back, Notre Dame is a completely different team, both offensively and defensively. I hope that the selection committee takes that into account. I think if Bonzie and Matt Farrell were healthy for the whole season, Notre Dame is easily a 10 to 15 ranked team consistently the whole year. Obviously, I don't think the 7-8 game losing streak would have happened. That was just a lot of points sitting on our bench injured, which was very unfortunate to see. Going along with that, on the other side of the coin, I think that plays into my thoughts and prediction this whole year that Virginia is not a worthy #1 seed. I think they're a great basketball team, they're a great program, but again, I don't have confidence in them. I think they are overranked. They play kind of a more old school style of basketball. Yeah, I just think they've kind of, barely squeaked by in too many games this year, and I think eventually that's going to come up and catch them. So those are my takeaways from this past weekend's game. Again, I think for Notre Dame to be able to make a push for the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to win at least 2, maybe 3 ACC tournament games. Going into the ACC tournament, the 3 favorites, I guess you could say, are Virginia, Duke, and North Carolina. All of these teams I think have had flaws throughout the year. I'm not super confident in any of them. Virginia I'm the least confident in, but I think those 3, I guess, would be the safest bets coming out of the tournament. I think there's definitely a handful of teams 4 through 10 in the conference that could, if they catch fire at the right time, give any of those teams a run for their money. I'm looking at the bracket here. After the Notre Dame Pitt game, which, like I said, I'm really hoping that Notre Dame will be able to pull out the win there, they would play the 7th seed Virginia Tech, Again, as long as Bonzie and Matt Farrell stay healthy, that is another game that I have full confidence in Notre Dame's ability to win. So that would put them at potentially 2 wins right off the bat there. Third game would come against the 2 seed Duke. That's where things get super interesting. Have not had much luck against them this year, so I don't know exactly how that one would turn out. I think Duke is just a big athletic team, and I give Coach K a lot of credit. They were a lot of people's preseason pick to win the whole thing, win the NCAA tournament. They obviously have not lived quite up to those standards throughout the season this year, but they're definitely not a team to mess with. So I'm hopeful that Notre Dame can get 2 ACC tournament wins. Anything past that, I think, is luck and a little coin flip. But I'm hoping that those 2 potential wins there, plus Bonzie Colson being back, the team being back to as good of health as they can be at this time of year, would give them enough looks and consideration to make it to the NCAA tournament. I always would prefer them to be underseeded as opposed to being overseeded. That is just my opinion. At the end of the day, you can take it for what it's worth. Let me know down below what you guys think. Will Notre Dame make the NCAA tournament? Who's going to win the ACC? Is Bonzie Colson being back enough to push Notre Dame to the tournament? Let me know your thoughts below. Drop the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button for more awesome content. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.